So the last couple weeks, we've just been talking about my YouTube channel and your blog post article writing, and I've been kind of enjoying it, so I don't see any need to change that. So, are you up for just talking about that little
Yeah, we might
fun?
have to expand. Do you, is that a do-over? Okay.
I don't know
It's
what I just said. I
it
don't know
seemed
what just came.
fine until you made weird sounds
All
when I
right,
was
then let's
trying to
just
respond. Okay. No, let's start over. I lost all momentum there.
okay.
Let's do it again.
Like uh, we have a little bit of latency, of course, because we're not in
Mhm.
person, and sometimes that just makes me do really stupid things.
Yeah, it's annoying. Agreed.
The last couple weeks, we've been talking about Michael's article writing on his blog, and I've been talking about my YouTube channel. I've been kind of enjoying this discussion, and I don't really see any need to change it. So why don't we start there? I've got a few questions.
Let's do that.
Did you did you set up your newsletter, your email newsletter thing for your website?
No.
Why did you not do this? Is it on what website is it on? Is it on Squarespace or Gmail or what?
Oh no, this is my own
Your own.
thing. It's a static site that is generated on my machine with like some kind of basic tools, and then it just gets published on Cloudflare. So there's no Squarespace or big provider like that.
No idea
My
what any of that means, so I can't help you.
the way I'm going to do this, I thought about it. I'm having a bit of a hard time right now dealing with the fact that I just have a lot of different projects that I'm kind of juggling and bouncing between. And it's not probably the best way to do things, but it's also just the nature of stuff right now. Like there's this project that I'm working on with a friend that just kind of came along and it feels like a good opportunity. So I'm putting a lot of energy into that, but I also don't want to abandon the other things. And so I'm just kind of bouncing around. And the blog is very important. Like I've realized how important it is to just have a connection with the world and a way of, you know, telling people what I'm working on and potentially getting interest. So there's a ton of value there, but it's also one of half of a dozen different things that I have to bounce between. So I'm been working on this and trying to figure out how to slice up my time. And so for the blog, I was very happy that last time I did it all in 2 days. I'm gonna try and keep it on that order of difficulty. So once a month, I spend 2-ish days working on it. Ideally, I think I should be able to get it down to one, uh, especially if I have everything like lined up correctly. And I'm going to try and bundle in some of the other to-do list work stuff in with that. So next time I write an article, I've already mostly thought about what I want to write about, which is great. I'm going to work on the article, try and keep that short, and then also dedicate some time to just fixing and working on whatever I can for the, businessy part of the website, like getting the RSS feed link exposed correctly. I need to fix the image that pops up whenever you share it, and then the email stuff. And I at least looked into that a little bit. So that's my kind of excuse for not having done it yet, but at the same time, I think it's reasonable that I'm just going to try and squeeze all that stuff together, get it all done in a chunk. So ideally, the website kind of improves itself every time I publish an article, and then I can spend the rest of my time focusing on other stuff. Does that pass
Okay.
the smell
Yeah.
test? Is that okay?
I'll let you pass for now, but just it needs to be set up, I guess. I don't know. I got to yell at you about something, so I'll just
No,
choose
no, no.
that.
I need it, and I should have done this last time when I published the second article, and I didn't. So I
Yeah.
kind of deserve some yelling.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
noted.
I'll keep yelling at you.
Cool.
Are you planning to stick to a deadline? I've decided no deadline for me this time. I'm gonna try to do it without one and see how it goes.
Interesting. I don't know if I like that or not, but I guess we will find out. Is
Well, well, answer for you first, and then you can yell at me
I
back.
I think I need a deadline. I had vaguely said once a month. I actually don't remember when I published the last one, so I think my deadline is going to be a month from whenever that date was. But I think for me I need to, because even if I'm staying focused and working really hard and everything that I'm supposed to be doing, it's easy enough to just spend time on the stuff that doesn't feel quite as scary as having to put something out in front of people. So I'm gonna leave that in place for me. I think I need it.
Well, our last deadline was June 25th. It's July 13th, so you have 12 days, I think.
Shit, that's a little bit sooner than I thought. Okay, yeah, 12
Yeah.
days. 12 days.
Actually, I think I wanted to try it without a deadline, but I think 12 days is a good internal deadline anyway, so I'll probably try to hit that with you.
I
I think
mean,
that's probably good. Do you wanna hear my argument against it?
yeah, I do. I do.
Because I've been arguing for it, and I will continue to argue for it, but this was my thinking on this time, that for my last deadline, I got so stressed. I mean, I hit it, and I can be proud of myself for that,
Yeah.
but the amount of stress I had in order to just get something out for that day, it really took its toll on me and ended up I got I got sick, like, twice. I got a really bad cold, and then I got a really bad fever, and I don't know if they're
Nice.
related to stress. This isn't the first
Yeah.
time I've had suspicious fevers related to possible, like, stress-induced things. Um, anyway, too much information. But the last deadline, I kinda led to that, or what it felt like that, and so, even though I hit it and I got stuff done, which felt good, what I actually got out was a total flop, and nobody watched it, so I didn't really it didn't feel good through and through. It was stress all the way up to the release date, and then afterwards, it was just more stress because it was like, "Ah,
Yeah.
I've ruined everything." Um, I still don't really regret putting out that video, but my thinking for this time was, I wonder if I can relax myself all the way through it. Can I put out a good
Yeah.
video and not get too stressed about it? Now, if I start going too far in the, oh, I'm going to spend forever on this thing and never put it out, and then you start getting like that's you're always at risk of that. So I don't know, but I think I could probably handle the no deadline for one time.
Well, as much as I do kind of want to argue for a deadline, I very much agree with your assessment that where you were at last time is not sustainable. I think it is very, very likely that getting sick was either directly a result of stress, in that, you're just having a physical manifestation of stress, or that you just had a weakened immune system and got sick. That's a pretty consistent phenomenon with me. If I ever, go for a few days without sleeping well or am stressed, I almost always get sick. So I think that's almost certainly the case. And that's a massive red flag for that is not a sustainable process. Even if you aren't getting physically ill, I still think you're too
Yeah.
stressed. So super agree with that, or that assessment. But at the same time, it's easy to,
I don't think
you know,
Well, maybe yeah, I think I'll try to aim for the 25th with you as well, because I don't really wanna spend more than 12 days on this thing.
well, can we talk about that then? Let's just for now say you're going to aim for the 25th along with me. Great. Uh, but at the same time, you can't repeat what you did last time. You can't afford to get sick every month, and even outside of
Right.
that, you're just not going to be able to sustain that kind of pace if you're going to feel terrible. So, what will be different this time that is going to allow you to relax and still get a
Oh,
video done and all of that?
this is what I wanted to talk to you about. Number 1, absolutely nothing will be different. In that,
Okay.
I mean, I still want to do the same things, I still wanna get the same things done, I still nothing is different in my life, but I'm trying very hard to sort of mitigate the obsession. So I I spent all of yesterday in this room with a camera and writing notes on Google Docs. So I'm writing all this stuff and then I'm recording it, and recorded all of the talking footage for my next video.
Yeah.
So now I have a pretty, solid base, but I've been editing that since yesterday. And I think if this was a month ago, I would have stayed up really late last night editing. But because I'm older and more mature now and much smarter, I went to bed at a decent time. So what I've been doing, I know this is so boring, but it really I think it really adds up over time. So today, I've been editing for a couple hours and then I knew we had the podcast. So I took off the external hard drive from my computer. I wound up the cord and I put it on the shelf, and I think I'm going to be strong enough to keep it there for the rest of the night, which will lead me to hopefully going to bed on time.
Mhm.
So that's some small way that I can mitigate the stress. I've also really worked out my morning routine to where it's sort of centered around time. And no,
Mhm.
nothing's perfect. Sometimes you sleep in or whatever, but I have it to where, 8 o'clock every day is supposed to be, health and wellness time, whatever. And if I can do that every morning, I can keep the obsession under control. That's, what I hope to do anyway.
Okay. So it's sort of managing the fixation part and the obsessive piece of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Because
Okay.
I think the problem was that I was getting really, really carried away with I mean, YouTube in itself is just sort of new to me, and
Mhm.
the fact that people are actually watching it is just enormously exciting, and it was all just so novel and new, and I think I just got totally carried away. Now I'm sort of, you know, I'm getting a
Right.
little bit more used to where it's at right now, you know,
Mhm.
so I don't know.
Yeah, okay. That sounds good. Something I have been appreciating a lot this week is just the value. We've talked about this a million times, so sorry, it's just the same stuff forever, but I think that's the deal. I've been just further appreciating the value of forcing myself to step away from something and let my mind just kind of churn on it for a while. I've been trying to build stuff and go really fast, and I've been, using AI a lot to try and assist with some of those things, and that almost amplifies the problem where it's just even higher bandwidth information where I'm coding something and then saying, "Oh, how do I do this algorithm?" and then it's just spits out stuff and I'm throwing that in there and trying to understand it. And so just today, actually, I worked throughout the morning. I probably spent 3 or 4 hours working on something, very focused, very heads down, trying to think through a bunch of stuff. And then I finally kind of tear myself away. I say, okay, I have to eat lunch. It's 2 o'clock. I haven't eaten anything today. And so I forced myself to go eat and then spend some time just away from stuff in the kitchen, cleaning, doing dishes and stuff. And sure enough, uh, like my emotional center of my brain is like, do not do this. We have to go back to what we were working on. Like there's this magnet in my head that just wants to go right back and just keep grinding. I'm not even sure why, but that's just there. But forcing myself to be away from it, sure enough, I'm just thinking through things, unable to look things up and try things and experiment. And I just kind of realize, oh, I'm doing things wrong. Like there's this very simple fundamental piece of information that I just don't have right and I need to change my approach and that's going to make this problem go away and that problem go away and all this stuff. And so when I finally get back to it, I make this change and I'm like, "Oh, this is so much better. I'm so glad I got away from it." I just think that what you're doing, like putting this stuff away, is very likely going to be better and more productive in the long run if you just can get that perspective and realize, okay, I'm sitting here wasting all my time just tweaking some little thing, or I'm missing the better narrative or whatever. But I just think that's definitely the right call there.
Okay, I'm glad that's been confirmed.
Yeah.
But I feel good about it, and I think I don't know, I've seen it work that way at work because I've been forced always to go to work, and then you leave, and then you come back, and you have to keep working on the same
Yeah.
thing. But at the beginning, years and years ago, I would get so obsessive about it and feel like I have to spend every second working on it. So I would leave
Hmm.
work and then I'd be watching tutorials on it, just thinking about it just constantly. And
Right.
it took me a few years to realize, oh yeah, you just let it go. And even if you have no idea how you're going to finish this piece,
Yeah.
the next day you show up and you just start again and you end up finishing it every single time. It's
Yeah.
the weirdest thing. So I'm trying to learn that in other areas of my life. work is so impersonal, so
Mhm.
I'm able to learn that lesson, but for the really personal things, like my own personal art and YouTube channel and all that stuff, it's different because you're so attached to it. So you're more likely to go right back to it and keep working on it because it's so important to you.
Yeah.
You're so biased towards it, um, or yeah, you're so connected to it that the importance is so high that you're always sort of drawn back to it, whereas work stuff is more impersonal. So I've noticed it's just much harder on the personal stuff.
Yeah, that checks out. Um, any other so okay, there's the kind of calmer, less hyper focused approach to trying to get this done, which that makes sense. Put more limits on yourself. Don't stay up until 3 in the morning. Great. But are there other areas or aspects to this that you think may have gone wrong last time or just could be better this time in order to, more peacefully and calmly execute on a video?
I don't know if there's I have something. I don't know if it 100% answers your question, but it was sort of this phenomenon that I've noticed before, but it was really highlighted this time in the last, I don't know, couple like 3 weeks or whatever. In that something that might be extremely simple, in that, you know, I can't work on my video or I can't work on my art because I have to go to work. That's simple. It's a simple equation. Whatever. You
Hmm.
you can't work on it right now because you have to go somewhere. Not a big deal. It's not very complicated. But my brain, this was the phenomenon, is I'm watching my brain start to blame myself for not working on it. So I will start to feel lazy or start to feel there. I don't feel lazy. I start to accuse myself of being lazy. I start to accuse myself of not doing enough. I start to accuse myself of
Hmm.
that. I don't know, just not getting anything done. And that was part of the deadline problem. Is like, oh, the deadline's coming. You haven't done anything. What's wrong with you? You're an idiot. That's what my brain is doing. But it's like none of these things are my fault. I can't change them. And
Yeah.
so it was just interesting to watch. And then when I got sick, I'm having to lay in bed and not do anything. And I'm having to, you know, I'm I
Yeah.
called out of work one day and I'm at home and I can't do anything. I'm just wrecked. And my brain just won't shut off and it keeps yelling at me like, "Why are you so lazy? You suck. Do something." But I can't. I literally cannot. And it's
Hmm.
it's not my fault, but the evil obsessive part of my brain just will not let it go. And as I continue to stay sick, through no help of my higher brain. Uh, but it's like I took this intentional break, but even still, it's just yelling
Hmm.
at me, and those things were building up and building up to where I started to feel as if I was in this like failure rut of my, of the story we tell ourselves. So the story I was telling myself is, "Oh, your YouTube videos are doing good. You're doing a lot of work. You're putting in work. You're going to keep doing this. You're feeling good. So you're on the trajectory of going up and your future is bright." Well, when you take a break or when you're sick or when you have to go to work or all of these things that pop up, the story starts to change through really technically no fault of my own. I know our motto is everything is your fault, but th it's like I couldn't turn that off, or I couldn't shift that or understand it in the right way, and so it's like it's like if you kidnapped someone, and then you held them captive, and then they start feeling like a horrible person because they're not visiting their family or something. That maybe it wasn't quite that dramatic, but that's the
Yeah.
it's like they can't do anything about it, but that's the feeling that starts to happen because your brain doesn't really know the difference, and so it was just an interesting thing that was happening
Yeah.
to me when really it was just these simple little things that carried out over time, they became really intense, and I started to tell myself this story, and that story started to gain traction to where I feel like, "Oh, no, I'm in a failure part of my life now," or whatever. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I've really only recently come to recognize and kind of put this point on is that I very frequently get into kind of a similar mindset where it feels like no matter what I'm doing, it feels like the wrong thing, or there is just always guilt for not doing something else. I'm working on one project and I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not making progress on this other project, or I feel, fried, and then I take some time off and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm wasting time. But then I'm working too hard and feeling fried and I'm like, ugh, this is so dumb. I should be relaxing more and trying to calm down. Or I go hang out with some friends and think, ugh, I'm not working. I should be. Or then I don't go hang out with friends and work instead and I feel guilty for not doing that. And I've just realized that that is just anxiety. It's just a form of being anxious. It's not a judgment thing. It's just that. And it is worth sometimes, I think, feeling frustrated or kind of scolding yourself or maybe not doing the things that you should be doing. I certainly can be a lazy bum for weeks at a time, and I do kind of want some ill feeling around that. But we talked about it last time, like anxiety is a sort of amplification, or it's based on things that are often real. They're just given way too much weight. So I think that's just kind of what's happening here, where yeah, sometimes I am making poor choices and I should feel, frustrated or even anxious about that. But often enough, I'm doing really about the best I can or pretty close to it, and I'm just feeling anxiety around it, and I need to treat it that way of just thoughts that don't really need to be occupying headspace. So, I don't know.
yeah,
That's at least a helpful thing for me to recognize, not to say that makes it go away, but I find it
yeah.
helpful.
Well, I find, it's funny. It it isn't always the case. Sometimes I'm totally cool with taking time off, hanging out with people, whatever,
Yeah.
and I don't feel that or that, like, I'm falling behind feeling.
Hmm.
And so I start to wonder what is this concept of where you should be or the way things should work or I should be doing more. Well, how much more? And what does that mean? And when does it stop? Or does it ever stop? Or would it
Yeah.
ever stop if you lived it forever? You know, what are you aiming for? We have some sort of concept of the way things should be. And it typically doesn't actually make sense. But, I start thinking, "Oh, I haven't put out a video in 2 weeks. I need to put out a video."
Yeah.
Well, for the last 2 or 3 years, I went years without putting out videos, and I
Yeah.
never felt that pull of, "Oh, I'm not doing enough." But now that it's part of my universe, now it feels like there's a timeline attached to it, and
Hmm.
same with the art. I don't know. I wonder. I know that there are certain things that build that mentality, and then it comes back to haunt you. So I want to try to avoid doing those things that build that up. One of the things I think is, well, for YouTube at least, is constantly checking
Yeah.
all the comments and the analytics because they just reinforce the story of it. They
Hmm.
reinforce the YouTube-ness, the YouTube legendness of you. You know, the views are going up, you're doing good. The views are going down, you suck. And or the
Yeah.
comments are good, you feel good, whatever. And so it just reinforces that story, and you start thinking about that a lot more, and it becomes more prevalent. And then when you are focused on something else, you feel the absence of progress in that area. And so yeah, I've just noticed that, or I want to start pinpointing those things that add up to me obsessing too much about the story of it. And the same thing goes with the art. When I do the art and I focus on the art and I'm feeling like an artist where I'm either not good enough or I need to learn more in this area or whatever. Or
Mhm.
I'm focused on the art and then I switch to video making mode and I'm no longer thinking about whether I'm a good enough artist or whatever. It's like, I don't know, the stories change as you go into different
Mhm.
arenas. Um, I don't know.
Yeah. And on the YouTube thing, and just the tendency to kind of obsess and check it all the time. I think that's a bit similar to what I think what can happen is that it will present in the same way where you get sick, where if you just let that kind of thing occupy your mind all the time, where you're constantly obsessing over that stuff and checking over and over, the your mind eventually kind of rebels and just crashes out, where you just stop caring at all and you don't upload anymore. And like there is this eventual rejection of it because it is just too much. So you kind of
Yeah.
have to learn how to moderate it one way or another, because if you don't, then the moderation is going to be super intense obsession and then complete rejection, and
Yeah.
you'll just won't even touch it. Uh so yeah,
Right.
I think you have to.
And I'm going into the future planning to do this YouTube stuff indefinitely. And it's not the decision to do YouTube is not new. I've
Hmm.
always wanted to get into doing more videos. And what I guess I'm realizing, or I'm watching all of these other YouTubers, our other brother, and then just any YouTuber who's been around for a while, and just kind of watching their story, what they go
Yeah.
through. And so many of them have the same
Hmm.
emotions towards it, where they have to quit eventually and it's just too much and too much anxiety and this or that or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't, I'm trying to take notes, trying to be mindful. I've experienced some things already that have surprised me,
Hmm.
uh, great things, bad things, whatever. And I'm just trying to piece things out and try to learn from everyone else. But I think I think checking comments and analytics. I mean, I think there's positives to both of those, but I think it's definitely the cause of a lot of problems, or that story,
Yeah.
letting that story develop in your head about where you are, about what people expect from you, or how you're going to let them down, or whatever. It's just, and it's funny because it's not real.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Well, I think it's easier said than done, but the best way to try and think about it is to think about that a bit like a job or like work. Not to say that you don't enjoy it, but if you're going to go read comments, the goal should be to take them as feedback and allow that to adjust your direction in a very objective way. Just think, oh, people really like this thing, so I'm going to lean more into that, or people don't seem to like this. You could take it that way. So you're gathering feedback. You can respond to them, which is good for people on your channel. It makes them feel engaged with and that you're active, and oftentimes kind of that, social reward. So just open them up and just make it your job to kind of respond to them. The analytics have, I think, not very much value outside of the really broad stuff. I mean, I had such a hard time translating any of the numbers into concrete decisions and changes for what I actually put out. I think it's really, really tough. You're just getting so many false signals or noisy signals and everything. So I don't think it's worth spending a whole lot of time looking at the metrics other than just this video did really well, this one did poorly. There might be some value in looking at the actual watch times during a video and trying to recognize specifically when people were disengaged. But even that, it's pretty tough. It's just not that clear. So you know, try and see it that way. And anything beyond that, where you're just, oh, it's been 10 minutes. Let me check again. Let's see how many more views I got. Just
Right.
view that like you're eating a sleeve of Oreo cookies at 3 a.m. It's not good for you. You can do it, but it's just a bad thing, and you should work to limit that as much as possible.
I agree. I mean, that's the conclusion I've come to after
Right.
not doing that, after eating all the Oreos.
Hmm.
And yeah, actually, that's one of my goals. It is to my evenings have always been.
Yeah.
I've always struggled with the evening time because the morning it seems to be so repeatable, but
Hmm.
the evening, you wake up and you typically wake up feeling the same way every day.
Hmm.
Don't hold me to that, but
Yeah.
if you get really good at waking up the same time every day, you typically kind of just wake up feeling the same way every single
Hmm.
time. And so what you do right after that, you can predict and you can make it a routine. But every evening seems to be completely different, all
Hmm.
varying levels of absolute total exhaustion. So I have zero discipline by the time I get home. And I
Yeah.
usually just like lately I've been walking and going straight to the computer or the phone or whatever and just
Yeah.
drowning out the rest of my day in a
Yeah.
horrible exhaustion of,
Yeah.
mind acid or whatever on, you know, on the screen. And it's just, ugh.
Yeah.
You tell yourself it's educational or whatever, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just.
Yeah. There's all
So
kinds of
I want to
lies.
make the evenings more wholesome, more reading and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I think it's tough because I think part of what is happening there is that you are craving stimulation. The calm, peaceful, sit down and read by the fire or whatever. You don't want to do that, not because of the specific activity, but because it's just not enough
Mm,
stimulus for your brain. And so you seek out, you know, the internet, which is built for stimulation. I I like Dr. K's formulation of this, or his metaphor, where you can kind of think of your mind like a lemon that kind of starts fresh every day, and you squeeze it and it takes some juice out, but right at the start you don't have to squeeze very hard to get lemon juice. But the more you squeeze this thing, the less juice there is in it. And so by the end of the day, you're like having to just clamp down to get anything out of it. And it's sort of comparable to the dopamine in your brain, or the chemicals that make you feel rewarded and good. And so when you wake up, it doesn't take much. You just sit down with a pen and paper and you're happy, you're enjoying it, you're getting that dopamine release or whatever. By the end of the day, it's like you can't get anything. And so you're just seeking out the craziest stuff. So, you know, I I don't think it's an easy fix because I have exactly the same situation. I have this great cycle of focus and work, and I feel so clear-headed and productive if I get up at the right time and I get settled. It's wonderful. And by the end of the day, I still have more I need to do, but I just feel fried. So I struggle with the same thing. I think it's genuinely a very hard problem. I think there's one, I think you just do kind of have some limits for how much you can do in a day, and it's worth not being unrealistic. Where if you've been going hard for 12 hours or whatever, don't expect to get another 4 that feel as good as the first 4 did. The other is that the less you can do to kind of squeeze the lemon during the day, the better. Like the more juice you have left at the end of the day. So just stay calm. Don't engage with politics and scrolling on your phone and all of that. Just try and stay chill. And then I think there's also just a kind of over time change in thinking where if you've been in a good headspace for weeks, you're better off. If you've been in a bad headspace or just very overstimulated, it just takes a while to get back to it. So it takes a lot of consistency to feel good. But, I know you know all that.
yeah,
It's
but
hard.
I'll have to constantly revisit it. Um,
Yeah. I do
Alright.
sometimes, like, a little bit strategically in the evenings. I might sit down to work and I'll try and do something that's a little bit less difficult, or at least less deep than what I have to do early on. And then uh, I'll put on like a TV show or a stream on Twitch or something. and it kind of has to be just the right thing. If it's too engaging or new, then it just sort of draws my attention. I can't focus at all. But if it can't just be bird sounds or a live stream of a beach, because I actually want a little bit of stimulation to where I feel more comfortable. And whether that's great or not, I'm not sure, but it does seem to help where I feel like I can actually sit down and do something and not have that crazy uncomfortable feeling. So, you know,
Isn't that awful? Like, just us humans are to that
it's
point now.
rough. Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
it's
I
not great.
I would say I'm even worse than that right now. So I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, isn't
No, no.
that awful? Like, that's terrible. Why are
This is the environment that we live in. We aren't built for it.
No, we're not. Uh, but, whatever. I guess you can't fight the power. Power will win.
I guess not.
Um, yeah. I don't know. Okay, maybe we end with that.
Cool. Yeah, it's sort of vague hopelessness. Um,
No. I could try to spin it to make it more
no, no,
positive.
no. I'm there. Cool. All right. So we do have a deadline, the 25th. I have to do an article. You have to do a video. Your goal is to do the video, but then also not make yourself sick and
Yeah.
overstressed.
Yeah. I
I
think I got it now. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, we'll see how you feel on the 25th, but that's promising at least for now.
Can we add
I
can we
Yep.
add an extension to your requirement for your deadline?
What do you mean?
You have to get the newsletter thing set up before you release your article
The email newsletter thing?
and your RSS feed. Yeah.
Can we say I definitely
No.
have to get the RSS feed done. The email I will make an effort to do, but if it turns out to be stupid, I know what you're saying and I I get it, but looking into it, it might actually be like it will cost money and it's going to be weird and annoying.
But it's
So,
always gonna be weird and annoying, and I feel like if this was me, you would yell at me for it, so, yeah. Well, state your case.
well, just that like I said, I really am struggling to juggle a lot of things. So,
How much
without
time?
I
How much
that's
time do
the
you think
thing.
it would take?
I don't know. It's just a big unknown. It could be kind of gross. It might not feel that way because if you're using a Squarespace or whatever, they kind of have all this turnkey stuff packaged in where it's like, oh, click the button and now it's an email thing. That's not the case for me at all. I have to set up an email service that can relay things like Mailgun, and then I have to somehow send HTML to that service every month where it'll go out. Like I don't know what that could be. I am going to work on it, but it could be something like, oh, this takes a week and you have to talk to people on the phone or who knows. So I'm I'm gonna get the RSS thing going. I mean, the email thing I have to build a user interface for so people can,
Well, hold
register their
on.
emails.
All they have to do is put in their email address, and then it just saves it. That's it. That's
To
all you need. That's all you need.
No.
Yeah. Right now, that's all you need. You're just collecting emails. That's it.
Okay.
That's
Okay. All
all.
right. So it
They
won't
put
actually
in some
work.
letters, and it just saves it.
Okay, well, just just keep in mind that put in letters means I need to build a user interface that does that. Uh, there's questions around, do they see that every single time, even though they've already done it? No? Well, then I have to store a user cookie and like have logic that checks that to see if they've done it already. That data can't just go nowhere. It has to be recorded to a database, which I don't currently have. So I have to stand up a server that will host that. So
You
it's
can
just
figure all this
not
stuff out.
well, I know that I can. Of course I can, but can I do that without sacrificing the other also very important things that I'm working on right now?
Ugh, fine.
Do
But
do you understand why I'm a little bit hesitant for this? It's
yes,
genuinely
yes.
just not that simple. The RSS thing is like a button. I just have to make the button and give it a link, and then somebody can click it and it'll go to their RSS thing. So
I'll knock it
that's
out,
just
but
not hard.
I'm telling you, this is something you'd yell at me about, and then I'd argue my case, and then the next day I'd be thinking, "Oh, actually, you know what? it probably wouldn't be that hard. And then I'd start working on it. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying that might happen to you. Just if you just start
I will try to make that happen to me. I can promise that much.
all right, we can settle on try.
All right.
Fair enough.
All right.
That's
Well,
it.
I'll take that. All right. If anybody else has anything cool they want to do by the 25th, let us know. And it'd be cool to see what you're working on. So, yeah, good luck. Talk to you next week.